Okay, so I've had my Kodiak portable solar generator for well over a year now. I got this actually right when they came out, and I was actually part of the beta testing to see how well it would work. And as you can see here, I've got it in my Faraday bags from Tech Protect. They have top military grade EMP-proof bags, and they actually have the test results that show that they truly are EMP-proof, which is one thing I really like, which is why I depend on them. So you can see here, I've got the Kodiak in this bag. These are really robust bags. You can be beat up on them quite a bit. And because Kodiak's only 20 pounds, it's pretty easy to get out. Look at that, 2 fingers. And then in this bag, I've actually got some extra batteries for the Kodiak. Oh, extra lights as well. You never know what you're going to find in these bags. They're so big. Extra batteries. This is an extra battery pack of 2,000 watts that I have. I've actually been working on this with Energy to see if this is something that they can bring to market, and I'm going to be showing you how that works. But generally speaking, you can add as many batteries as you want to this. See this? I used this a couple weekends ago, so it looks like I'm about 75%. Each dot here on the front represents 10%. So I'm not at full power right now, which is fine. It's got plenty of power for everything that I need to use it for. Some of the biggest things that I love about it, RV connector. At first, I thought it was a 220, which I thought was insane. That would be really impressive. But even just an RV connector, 30 amp, that's really impressive. One of the biggest things that I like is how many 110 volt ports it has, because a lot of the other units that I've tested and played around with, they only have maybe 2 or 3. And so to run a light and then a fan and then the fridge, then my freezer's not running. So then I gotta not run the fan and run my freezer. And so that gets a little complicated with choosing what is most important to run. Whereas here, I've got so many outlets that I can run tons of stuff on it. The other thing I really like is it's got 2 DC, or basically cigarette lighter, outputs, as well as 4 USB. So I can be charging a lot of equipment right here. And then these ports right here are a 5.5 by 2.5 millimeter barrel port. This is the solar panel carrying case. That's where I keep most of my knickknacks. The base camp light that goes with the Kodiak is awesome. It's 400 lumens, so it's blindingly bright. It comes on a 6-foot cable, and it's chainable. So I can add more lights to it just by linking them together. And the next one has another link to add as well. And then it just plugs right in here. And you can see these puppies are really bright. Usually I have 1 per room when we have a blackout or something like that. The other thing that I typically will do with these is I'll get some extra 15-foot cabling for the lights, and it's also the same cable that comes with the Predator 50 panels. And the advantage of it is because it's the same size, I'll just pull the ends out here, is 6 feet's great, but to add an additional 15 feet in between the two of them, so 12 plus 15, I can go a long way in between these lights, so that way I don't just have all of the lights kind of in one general area. So I really do like having that extra 15-footer in there. And it's as simple as just using the extra cable that came with my panels when I'm not using the panels to charge. So at night when I'd be using the lights, I just use that light cable and the panel cable there. Some other things I keep in here, obviously a sling. This isn't the sling that comes with the Kodiak, this is a paracord sling. I love that. I personally upgraded to the fast charger. The fast charger comes with a different connector, which on the side of the Kodiak is this bigger connector right here. It's really simple to use, so I just plug it in. You can see it's offset at an angle, twist, locked on. That easy. And then when I want to take it off, you just pull the tab back, pops right out. The advantage of it, why I like it so much, is it charges twice as fast as the charger that comes with the Kodiak, and there's nothing wrong with that one. That charger goes right into this port here, which is the lower wattage port. One of the other things that I like about the Kodiak so much is when you turn it on, this may be a little hard to read, I'll try covering the light here. The display gives me a lot of information about what's going on. And the one that I prefer to look at the most is this bottom right. It shows me the current amount of wattage being used on the system. And right now it says I'm using 14.1 watts. So to run the fan and the charge controller or whatever else is inside that it needs to be running right now, it's taking about 14 watts. Usually it's using about 10. Because when I plug in something else into it, say this light here, plug in the light, and then it tells me, okay, now I'm at 16.5. I was at 14, which means this super bright light is only using 2.5 watts. I mean, 2.5 watts for this light. That's incredible. But the other point is I can plug my fridge into it, and then I can see how many watts it's using, and then I can plug my cell phone charger or my TV or my fans, maybe CPAP machines, other things that are really necessary to keep running during blackouts. And I can see how much it's actually using, and then I can think and calculate, okay, this is how long it's going to run. The other thing I really like is anything that plugs into the DC port or the 5.5 by 2.5 barrel ports, so like this light, is even though the unit is off, I plug it in and it's running. So maybe, for example, at night, I don't need to be running a whole lot, and so I can actually power off the unit, and let's just say I want to run some lights, then I can be saving that 14 watts of energy per hour and just be running per light 2.5 watts. So I personally have 10 solar panels, the Predator 50s. And the way that the system generally works is you'll connect 5 panels together, and then they'll plug into this smaller port here, which is rated to about 250 to 300 watts, generally 250 watts. Whereas this port, this input here, is rated for 600 watts, which means 600 watts input on an 1100 watt battery. This unit can be charged in less than 2 hours on a bright sunny day. Now I use 10 panels, now that's what I have in my kit, and because of the Predator 50, the way it's designed, you can't link all 10 of them together. I think the max you can put together is 6. And so what they actually ship now with the systems that come with more than 10 panel or more than 5 or 6 panels is this splitter. And essentially all that happens is you plug the splitter in here, lock it in, and then I'll have one lineup of 5 panels and another lineup of another 5 panels, and then those 2 arrays of panels will plug into here, and then that'll go into the larger the input there. So that way I can be charging faster. Now I'm going to show you how I actually connect this external battery to this Kodiak. Now, generally speaking, the best ones to use are the Deep Cycle Marine because they're really affordable. They do last quite a while. And the nice thing about it is the built-in charge controller in here will actually detect the type of battery that's connected externally and then charge it and discharge it appropriately. So whereas this is a lithium ion, so it's super powerful, and it's connected to, let's say, a Deep Cycle Marine, it'll detect that it's that kind of battery externally, and then it won't discharge it farther than a safe amount to make sure that it doesn't damage the battery. Same thing with charging, it won't overcharge it either, which is nice. This unit, however, though, does use lithium ion. I wouldn't wait for these to come out just because we have no idea when they'll be coming out. There's been a lot of issues with lithium ion as far as in the it being in the eyes of the states and the federal government as far as shipping lithium and selling lithium. Now, I've been using this setup for probably 4 or 5 months now, and I've never had an issue. The only issue is one of the kinks we're working out is that because of these types of batteries, it changes the display. It makes it not work properly. But other than that, we're working those kinks out with energy. Deep Cycle Marine batteries, lead acid batteries or whatever, don't cause that problem when connecting them. So I just take my cabling here. This cabling you can get off of, from Home Depot or Amazon. It's just got these little eyelets on it. Now you do want to have the unit turned off, negative to negative and positive to positive. You don't want to go positive and negative from one side and then go positive negative on the other, because if the cables touch, it can cause a big spark, and you definitely don't want that. So generally speaking, I just go negative to negative first. I don't think it really makes a difference. So I just remove the black port, or the black covers here, right here. Okay. And I'll get my reds, positives. Connect that. Okay, and just like that, I've now added 2,000 watts of battery to this. So when I turn this on, what's actually happening is the batteries are equalizing. So this was at 75% and this was at 100%, and so now it's going to equalize across the board. This is still lighter than its closest competitor. This right here is 40 pounds. 40 pounds for 3,000 watts of energy. That just blows my mind. That's one of the big advantages of going with lithium ion, and not just lithium ion, but high grade lithium ion. There are many units out there now that don't use high grade lithium ion, and so they're still heavy even though they're about the same amount of battery power. So that's one thing I really like about this. And just like that, it's that simple to connect everything up, whether you're using lead acid, deep cycle marine, lithium ion, so on. Okay, now we're on the other side of my office here. Remove this huge bag, and I'm going to get into this even larger Faraday bag here. So this is, again, from Tech Protect. This is actually what I keep my panels as well as other accessories for the Kodiak in. You can see it's so big, it actually comes with its own big clip, which is not how it's generally closed up. Normally just use the Ziploc. But it's easy enough to just take right off, get right into. Got my Kodiak accessories right here. And I double bag everything to make sure everything is super EMP proof. So in this bag, you can see I've got everything double bagged. Just got storing extra cable in there. Open up this. And I got all sorts of other gadgets in here. One of the things I do really recommend that everybody gets, the car charger as well. This, it just plugs right into the cigarette lighter, plugs right into the larger port on the side of the Kodiak. As I'm driving down the road, I'm charging up. I don't have to have the panels out, which is great. Like if I'm traveling to, a family member's house and they don't have power, that's great. This is the other thing I recommend. Probably a lot of you have seen this before. It's just an outlet timer. Basically, as you can see, there's toggles here on the side for every 15 minutes. This is a 24-hour clock. So all you do is you set the time. You'll say it's noon right now. You set the time to whatever the time is currently, and any point that one of these toggles is down, this will rotate as it's plugged into power. It'll rotate, and every time it hits one of those toggles that's down, you can hear it clicking, it turns the power on to these outlets on the side. So what I actually do is I run my fridge and freezer off of this rather than running it on the ports or the plugins that are on the front of the Kodiak. And that just allows me to be running multiple things at once, but I'm timing it. Because my fridge and my freezer, I don't need to be running all the time. For example, my freezer I could probably run for just an hour a day during a blackout situation. And my fridge I can be running for 15 minutes of every hour. It's going to be using more power in that time because it's using more of the condenser and the motor. But even still, I can be conserving a lot of energy. So I actually went on Amazon and just bought these 1-foot extension cables. And so I plugged this like that, this into the front of the Kodiak, and this, because this is such a big unit right here, such a big box, this 1-foot cable keeps the front of my Kodiak unclogged. That way I can keep running more equipment off of it. So I highly recommend getting one of those. You can get that at Harbor Freight or Home Depot or wherever. And then it looks like I've got I've got 6 of these lights, so I've just got the rest of them in there. And then in here, I've got double bagged my panels. So this is the panel here. I absolutely love these panels, and I'll show you why. There are multiple reasons why I like these panels. One is these things are extremely robust. I mean, you can step on them, whatever. You can drop them. You know, they're not going to get hurt. That's one thing I really like about them. They're also really thin. You see there's no black box on the back here, which is generally where the diodes are. The diodes are actually built into the corners of this panel. So I'll just set this here. These are really high efficiency panels. So the way that these panels actually work is pretty interesting, and I think a really cool idea is they actually have the contacts here in the corners built into the panel. So I think that's really interesting. All you actually end up having to do is slide them together, kind of like Legos. Just line that up, push it down, and then when these arrows are lined up right here, that means that it's connected properly. So now I've built 100 watts in panels that I can now be charging on the Kodiak. So the way that this works with the splitter is I would do 5 panels lined up like this, and then another 5 panels lined up the same way, and then I just take the cable that comes with the panels, plug it into the panel on the far left, plug it in there, and that plugs into one of these 2 ports here, and then the second array of panels does the same thing, and that allows me to charge it much, much faster. Now because these things are so lightweight, pick one up, pick the other one up, I'm going to go take these and show you how they work. We're here in my kitchen. I've actually pulled out my fridge a little bit and unplugged it, and so we can see we're at 13.8 watts right now. I'm going to go ahead and plug this right in. You can see the light is on and things are working. So the last time we had a power outage was, we had 2 of them last year, and we actually ran this fridge and freezer for 10 hours straight, non-stop, and we didn't even use any panels or extra batteries or anything. It was just what was already on the charge of the Kodiak. Now that means if we had the extra batteries and the panels, the 500 watts per hour, we could be running this all day long while still charging the batteries, and then at the end of the day still have enough power to run through the whole night. Okay, so now I'm actually in my garage, and I've got about a 5-foot tall by 2.5 foot tall stand-up chest freezer, deep freeze, and I've disconnected it here. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. So it's a little hard to see, but now I can see I'm actually using 89 watts. So it went up about 75 watts. And well, we can't hear the condenser running right now, but we can see that it's running at no problem. So that means at this amount of wattage on a full battery, I could run this for about 10 hours. Now, one of the things you may have noticed in my garage here is all of these, we call them cubies of oil. I actually picked these up from Walmart, and you can see where the fat and the oil has separated. This is recycled or used vegetable oil that I actually use on my truck to run my truck. Actually, yesterday, in the course of about an hour and a half, I picked up 200 gallons of clean used vegetable oil that I now run on my diesel truck, which I'll put in another video. But the pump that I use, it's actually just a pump from Harbor Freight, and then I went to Home Depot and Ace Hardware and gotten all the hose for it. As you can see here, I've got 3 barrels here in the bed of my truck of my 99 F350 diesel, and I collected 3 barrels, which was 55 times 3, plus about 50 gallons in my tank, which is right in between the barrels there. Holds about 50 gallons. I'm able to do that with my Kodiak generator running this heavy duty pump, which generally runs about 1300 watts an hour, and so I can use it for about 45 minutes solid without having any issues. Having used this unit for 1 year, just the Kodiak by itself with no extra batteries, it has been able to do everything that we need it to do, even with just 5 panels, to charge it at 250 watts per hour. I can charge it generally in 4 hours on a sunny day, maybe 5 on a not so sunny day. It's extremely lightweight, extremely robust. It doesn't have any problems running really strong all the way until it's dead because it's lithium ion. What I would recommend is a couple of things. Is first of all that maybe on the display they have a timer on how much longer it'll run. That's one thing I wish I had seen, but it's not very difficult to calculate, so not too bad there. The other thing I wish it had was a little bit more weatherproofing. Yeah, I've used this in the rain and I've never had a problem, but I would prefer if there were some sort of caps that it can go on all of these ports. That would be nice. The third thing, and by far the biggest complaint that I have with this system, with the panels, is that the panels don't come with a stand. So having to use maybe some PVC, 1/4-inch PVC from Home Depot and build a stand, or setting some chairs out, leaning the panels against that, is generally what I have to use or do. That or just laying them flat on the yard. Because they're high efficiency, they still work pretty well. But that would be my biggest complaint, is that it does need a stand for the panels. Just some legs or whatever to hold them up at an angle so they can be a little bit more efficient. Other than that, I have been super impressed. I highly recommend having this unit. Actually, every single member of my family has this unit. My sister has it, my parents have it, we have it, and so on. And I really recommend using it because of how lightweight, powerful, how quick it can charge, how expandable it is, extra batteries. There's really, literally no other system like it. I truly, truly love it. We're actually planning on getting a second one with an additional, another 10 panels, just so that in case, in the event of an EMP, we happen to be using this unit, we'll have a second one. Even still though, when we're not using this one, it just sits in our Faraday bags, on my shelf in my office, easily protected, even from a super EMP because it's double bagged. So I absolutely love it. I highly recommend it. There's another website you can go to get more information about it, and that's poweredportablesolar.com. I'll put that in the link below, as well as techprotectbag.com. Is another great resource to go to and look at more information about this as well as EMP preparedness. I hope you found this video useful, and I hope this helps guide you in knowing which way to go when it comes to solar generators. I'll add some links to the description so that way you can go to some more information, and especially there's a side-by-side comparison between this unit and other units that are out there and that a lot of people know of. So one thing to remember is if you fail to prepare, you're preparing for failure. And I really do hope that you get prepared for an EMP or whatever may be coming our way. The other great thing that I love about this unit is that it's extremely affordable. Compared to the other units out there, it's on par with the same price, and sometimes even less in price. So I highly recommend picking up this unit right here. And you definitely won't be disappointed with what you get here. Now that I'm done using my equipment, because it's so lightweight, I'm going to go ahead and put it back in its Faraday bags. Slide that right in. And you can see there's plenty of room there for even accessories. So I usually keep some USB lights or a base camp light in here with it, just for good measure. And then I'm also going to put away the extra batteries here. Now, lithium ion is much, much lighter than deep cycle marine, which is their big advantage. However, this isn't something that's readily available or easy to create because of how hard it is to get lithium. And so in the meantime, I don't recommend waiting to get a special lithium extra battery. I really do recommend getting maybe 2 or 3 extra deep cycle marine batteries. There's even some great ones available on Amazon. I'll throw the link in underneath the video. It even comes with free shipping. So I'm not affiliated with them or anything like that, but I'll be happy to share the link.